Hey friend, Dick Hardy here. It is great spending time with you at the outset of this brand new video series, 5-part video series on church boardsmanship, a pastor's guide to effective leadership. I'm thrilled that you've taken the time to invest in yourself, or maybe the church made the investment in you to help you be a better leader of a better board, all advancing the mission and the vision the Lord's laid on your heart for your great church. You know, I've had the privilege over the years to serve at a couple of very good churches that really have had a profound impact on their communities. One was a church of 2,000 up in Iowa, and then I served at a church of 4,000 in southern Missouri. And it's not that the numbers are the big deal, but it's the fact that those churches were moving forward to mission, and I had the privilege of serving with them. Now, I'm going to talk in this series, and through all 5 videos, about boards and staff. Now, when I say staff, some pastors that are just the single paid employee, the pastor of the church, will sometimes say, well, we don't have staff. When I say that word, I'm also thinking of key lay leadership of the church. So you're going to have board members. We're going to have to define this. You're going to have board members that sit in board roles, and then you're also maybe going to have board members, other key leaders that serve in leadership roles of children's ministry, youth ministry, worship, and so on. So as we navigate through this, I want you to think in terms of that as we talk about the whole business of growing your church and making your board better. Really, thanks again for hanging out with me on this. We think it's going to be a great ride, and it's going to be great value for you as a leader. Now, let's jump right into the whole business of laying the foundation for having a great board. Honestly, if you don't pay attention to this one right here, a number of the things we're going to cover in video 2, 3, 4, and 5 really aren't going to be germane to you because you haven't laid the proper foundation. I'm going to continue to refer back to this video. So let's take a look at the proper roles that board members play and that staff members play. And I'm telling you, I've showed this to board members and staffs across the country, and it's like lights go on saying, oh, now I get it. And they're going to see, and we're going to show you here in just a second, where if you cross roles, you're going to begin to see conflict develop, which churches are fraught with people jumping over into each other's roles inappropriately, and the church stalls. So let's talk a little bit about the primary role for a church board. I'm going to draw a line here. We're just going to kind of make a line right there, and we're going to put the board up here, and we're going to put staff, and I'm going to use the term key leaders. So if you have paid staff, they're in this role. If you have volunteer leaders, they're the ones we're talking about here. But you've got this line here where you've got responsibilities above the line that the board are responsible for, and you have roles and responsibilities below the line. Let's talk a little bit about the board's the board's primary role. Number 1 is to define world view. The board is to say what the church's worldview is. A worldview might be that people matter to God. And that's in the purview of the board to make that statement. This church believes that people matter to God. The second thing that is in the purview of the board is mission. Why are we here? And I want to tell you, if you don't get this clearly defined, again, you're going to find places of stumbling as we jump into the other videos. You have to clearly define mission, and that's in the purview of the board to do that very thing. Then when you come out of mission, by the way, mission normally in our settings ties somewhere to something like this. Reaching spiritually lost people with the gospel. In one way or another, your church needs to be doing that, because if you're not doing that, then there really is not much other reason to exist. All other things flow out of, first, reaching spiritually lost people. So that may be your mission. Out of the mission, then, come things like core values. Core values, you could have a number of core values. You could have a core value of prayer, core value of missions. You could have a core value, let's say, of discipleship. Let's run a little bit with the discipleship thought. The core value, the board says, people matter to God, and our mission is to reach spiritually lost people, and one of our core values is discipleship. So let's just hold that one as we continue to play this on out. Once that is done, then it shifts to the staff. And the staff now need to be able to move forward with those things that they have heard from the board. And they do so by establishing strategy to accomplish those things. Okay, so let's think about this here a little bit. You've got a board that is creating worldview, establishing mission, establishing core values. The staff comes along and creates strategy. Well, in doing so, let's talk about that core value of discipleship. Let me ask you, in most churches, historically, or at least over the last 50 years, when we think of adult discipleship, how has adult discipleship happened in most of our churches? Virtually everyone watching this video right now will have said the two words, Sunday school. Sunday school was the strategy by which we accomplished the core value of discipleship. So Sunday school was the strategy to get it done. Let me slide over here to the other side here for you. And that was in the purview of the staff to do this. Now, over the last number of years, there's been a shift in how we accomplish adult discipleship. And if I asked you, what has that shift gone to? It's gone from Sunday school to what? Again, you're responding right now. Most of you are saying small groups. So now here we are in 2015, 16, and 17, and now we're talking small groups. That's how we're doing discipleship. And guess what? That is perfectly within the purview of the staff to make this shift from Sunday school to small groups. Now, by the way, there is one person who has a foot in both worlds. And who is that? He's got a foot there and a foot there. And that guy is the lead pastor. Kind of scrunching myself up here. Hope you can still see that on the video. The lead pastor sits in that world and he sits in this world. And one of the key things that has to happen, and frequently doesn't happen, this guy or gal here has to keep this group informed of the actions of this group. He has to keep, or she has to keep, this group informed of the actions of this group. I've seen it more often than I even care to admit, where the staff is rolling along trying to do strategy, and they don't know what the board is doing up there. And that's in large part because the information is not flowing back and forth. Or the board's up here operating in a vacuum, not really knowing what the strategy of the staff is. That can't happen. And the lead pastor is the guy or gal who has to help make that happen. And I would encourage you to have times where the two groups meet together where they can keep each other informed of what the other's doing. Now, let's talk about where a problem happens. The staff's running around here saying, okay, we were doing Sunday school for 50 years, and now we think we're going to make the shift to small groups. No problem, that's in their purview. And then Herb's sitting up here. Herb, the board member, says, wait. I bless God, I got saved in Sunday school back in 1963, and we've had Sunday school at this church all these years, and you're not about to change from Sunday school. Now, let's take a little time out. What has just happened there with Herb? Herb was part of a group and the board member who was part of establishing a core value of discipleship. But he someplace along the line, got mixed up and began to see Sunday school as a core value. Sunday school is not the core value. What's the core value? The core value is discipleship. So he gets confused, and he all of a sudden begins to dabble down here, saying, I'm going to come down in here and tell you that you can't do that strategy. I did it in red ink because that's an absolutely wrong move for a board member. So if you're a board member, you've got to stay true to these things, and you let the staff do strategy. Let's go the flip side of it. You got down here, you got Jason, your children's ministry, or youth ministry guy, and all of a sudden he comes along and says, we've been doing Sunday school for years, but I don't like the small group model, so we're not going to do anything like church used to do in the past. We're not going to do these. We're not going to do discipleship. And all of a sudden, Jason has started to dabble in a responsibility that's the board's responsibility. It's not the staff's responsibility to change the core values. It is the staff's responsibility to talk about how we can take those core values and make them real, but you can't ditch the core values. If there's a core value that you don't think belongs there, then you need to work with the lead pastor in terms of going back and forth with the information, going back and forth. My point is here, we need to be staying in our lanes. You see what we've got here? If the staff and the pastor will stay in the strategy lane, and the board will stay in the worldview, mission, and core values lane, then the church has the greatest capacity to move forward. You really have an opportunity to do something very, very good for the church. So I'm going to leave this picture up here as I just want to talk through with you on a few other things relative to, because you may be saying, well, okay, Dick, I like this, but we're not there. How in the world do we get there? Let's talk a little bit about that. Number one, you've got to pray. Now, some of you are watching that and say, okay, Dick, I got that piece. Okay, what's the next one? No, time out, hold it. When I talk about you've got to pray, you have to be fervent in your effort of going before the Lord, on your face before Him, or however you posture yourself to pray, to really talk to Him about how you can build this kind of culture into your church. You have to move along to that extent as the Lord speaks to you in making this happen. I can assure you, if you'll begin to work this direction, by the way, this is not going to happen tomorrow, not going to happen overnight. If you'll begin to pray to this end, you'll begin to see great things happen. Number two, I'd be talking with your board about best practices. Now, church boards, you say, well, best practices, we're not a business, well, I would argue you're the greatest business on the whole planet. Jesus said, I must be about my Father's business. And why would we not want to seek out the best information we can that helps church boards and staffs, pastors, operate together in their lanes and fulfilling exactly what the Lord has for us? So check out best practices of other churches. Number three, ties right in there, is the whole business of networking with other lead pastors to see how they do it. Now, you're not necessarily just going to copy XYZ church down the street or on the other side of the country or on the other side of the world, but there are churches that are being very successful to mission. They've established the worldview and mission and the core values. They have strategies that are working to that end, and I think it's worth talking to them. I network all the time with church leaders on what are the best practices and how we can actually learn from each other as lead pastors and church leaders. Number four, I'd set time aside for a retreat setting with the board and probably with the staff. Help them understand this. Now, because let me tell you what will happen. If you don't have this in place right now, what will happen is when they first see this, they'll say, oh yeah, great. In other words, the staff can do anything they want down here. No, not at all. The staff, the lead pastors in both worlds here, the staff does strategy, and there's accountability that works both ways. Board members say, well, I'm just a rubber stamp. No, you're not. You're playing a critical role in establishing these things up above here, and if you'll take a retreat time to set it aside and be with your board, be with your staff, helping them understand their roles, you're going to see the church move forward with much greater unity. By the way, in one of these later videos, I'm going to talk about the importance of your orientation of new board members, because you get existing board members on there, they get this, and then you get the new guy comes in, and he doesn't know this, it's your responsibility to help orient them to this method and process of doing church. The fifth one I want to talk to you about is begin practicing the proper roles. I remember a book, I forgot the title of it, I don't know if it was Outliers or one of these books that was talking about the 10,000 hour rule. That basically says when anybody does something 10,000 hours, they literally become an expert, they become the best in the world at it. You think of some of the greatest athletes that you enjoy watching, baseball, football, basketball, hockey. Those guys and gals practice, practice, practice. They don't become the best in their sport without practicing. You've got to practice this. You've got to take time to have the board learn how to do it. Have the staff learn how to do it. Learn how to relate back and forth. You can do that in the retreat setting, you can do it, but it's just going to take time to do it. And number 6, don't expect to turn this thing around overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And you know, one of the things I tell boards and I tell staff, listen, hold everything loosely. Don't grip into. Herb was not holding Sunday school loosely. He had a stranglehold on that thing because that thing became a core value to him when really the core value was discipleship. Hold it loosely. When you hold things loosely, you're going to have the capacity as the senior pastor and the board members to really move forward in the greatest sense of unity your church has ever known. Man, thanks for taking time to hang out with me on this first video. I'm having a ball putting these things together for you. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to help board members understand their roles and responsibilities. So once this has happened, then board members say, okay, now what's it look like on a weekly and monthly basis? We're going to talk specifically about that, and we think it's going to be a great value for you. So be sure to tune into the second video. Thanks for watching this one with us. Make it a great day, and be blessed.